I never thought I would survive the night I encountered him, the infamous serial killer known as the Butcher. His name sent chills down the spines of everyone who had heard of his heinous crimes. The newspapers painted him as a faceless monster lurking in the shadows, leaving behind a trail of terror and death. I, unfortunately, would come to know him all too well. It was a stormy night when I found myself lost in an unfamiliar part of town. Rain pelted down relentlessly, and thunder echoed through the empty streets. Seeking refuge, I stumbled upon an old, decrepit house, its windows boarded up as if to hide some sinister secret. As I stepped inside, a cold draft embraced me, raising the hairs on the back of my neck. The air felt heavy, almost suffocating, and I sensed that I was not alone. An ominous presence seemed to linger within those decaying walls. Trying to dismiss my unease, I explored the house in search of a way out. But my heart sank when I discovered that every door was locked and every window barred shut. Panic began to set in as I realized that I had unwittingly entered the domain of the Butcher. Suddenly, a chilling sound pierced the silence, the scrape of a blade against metal. My breath caught in my throat as I followed the sound, hoping against hope that it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But there he stood, a dark silhouette framed by the dim moonlight that filtered through the boarded-up windows. The Butcher wore a mask, his eyes gleaming with madness behind the slits. He held a rusted, blood-stained cleaver in his hand, and a wicked grin spread across his face as he stared at me. Terror consumed me, paralyzing my every move. My heart pounded in my chest like a drum, and my mind raced for a way to escape. But the Butcher was faster, closing the distance between us with unnatural speed. I turned and ran, my footsteps echoing through the empty corridors. It was like being trapped in a nightmare, where every door led to a dead end, and every window was barred shut. The house seemed to stretch on endlessly, a labyrinth designed to ensnare its victims. With each passing moment, I could feel the Butcher's presence growing closer, his heavy breaths reverberating in my ears. I ducked into an abandoned room, hoping to hide from him, but the stench of death clung to the air, revealing the grim fate of his past victims. As I cowered in the darkness, I knew that my only chance of survival was to outwit this sadistic monster. My mind raced, desperately searching for a way to escape his clutches. But the Butcher was relentless, his footsteps echoing like a grim death knell in the corridors. I spotted a shattered mirror hanging on the wall, and an idea formed in my mind. I grabbed a shard of glass, using it as a makeshift weapon. My hands trembled with fear, but I knew I had to fight back if I wanted to live. I continued to move through the house, leaving shattered mirrors in my wake, hoping to create a maze of reflective surfaces to confuse the Butcher. The sound of shattering glass filled the air like a symphony of desperation, but I had no time to dwell on the horror of my situation. The Butcher's laughter echoed through the house, chilling me to the bone. He taunted me, playing with his prey like a sadistic puppeteer. It was clear that he relished the hunt as much as the kill. Every time I thought I had escaped, he was there, lurking just beyond the edge of my vision. It was as if he knew my every move before I made it, a nightmarish dance of predator and prey. I stumbled upon a room with an old, dusty wardrobe in the corner. Desperation pushed me inside, and I clung to the hope that the Butcher would pass me by. I held my breath, praying that the creaking floorboards would not betray my hiding spot. Minutes felt like hours as I waited in that suffocating darkness. The stench of decay filled my nostrils, and I could hear the muffled sounds of the Butcher's footsteps outside the door. It was a macabre dance of death, and I was just a pawn in his sick game. As the night wore on, my determination wavered. I had no idea how much longer I could keep this up, how much longer I could evade his relentless pursuit. My body ached from exhaustion, and the shadows seemed to close in around me. But then, a glimmer of hope flickered in the darkness. A ray of moonlight pierced through a crack in the wardrobe door, revealing a hidden passage behind it. With newfound energy, I pushed through the back of the wardrobe and found myself in a secret chamber. The chamber was adorned with macabre trophies, the remnants of the butcher's previous victims. The sight was enough to turn my stomach, but I had no time to be sickened. I needed to find a way out of this nightmarish labyrinth.